Good evening, everyone. Welcome to IKEA Canada Evening Talks. We are back with our favorite section of the month, which is Maple Mondays with none other than Mr. Haroon Anwar. Good morning, Haroon. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Yousaf. Thank you so much for inviting me to your show. It is always a delightful experience sharing with you what's happening around in the world. And I believe from what you were sharing with me, our sessions get a lot of airing, a lot of audience. So I'm quite encouraged to hear that. And I think we really welcome feedback from our audience to share with us what more they would like us to talk about on these Maple Mondays.
Absolutely. So, thank you first of all. Thank you for for coming to this evening talks and the topics. You're absolutely right. It's been very interesting. We've been getting some feedback as well. We always ask our audience to please do send us any comments, any other topics you want us to cover on that with Haroon. The good thing is that I don't know. We last time we talked about the cryptocurrencies, and interestingly, a lot more things came up. Again talking about digital world and things like that, and that how cryptocurrencies have been created, what people are doing on that, and today's topic, I would say, is another very interesting topic when we talk about metaverse. And
Right, right.
before we go into anything else, I think the first thing, because now the way the technology is changing, and the way we have seen the technology change, so many things when we were thinking was not possible are happening now. I remember in it was 85 or 87 when I went to Epcot Center, Orlando, for the first time
Right.
and doing a video conferencing over there. And it was like a big thing doing a video conferencing over there. Thinking like, wow, what is this happening? Can the other person listen to me? And look at now, like today, everything is so digital. So coming to our topic, Haroon, before we talk about metaverse and real estate, what is metaverse?
Okay. Metaverse, to define it simply, it's it's a virtual existence. Okay.
Mhm.
It's an immersive experience, predominantly moving from 2D to 3D experience. 3D could also then include a 4D experience because in three dimensions we don't get tactile feedback, but haptic technology, can give us sensations of our interactions. So that's an amazing development. And for a lot of people, this is something which is an evolution of gaming experience. Okay,
Mhm.
so lately, what has happened? Again, I'm going to for those people in our audience who are not fond of gaming that much, to share some context that gaming started with something very basic. When the computers came
Yeah,
out, people could start sharing and playing different simple games, which evolved into arcade games, and then we had these pixels where
that's right.
represented aircrafts, and a lot of people got addicted to that kind of entertainment. Okay, and that entertainment over time, thanks to technology, thanks to improvement in quality of videos, started to become more and more realistic.
Yes,
And the images, I mean, some of the new video games, if you play them, you are unable to distinguish between reality and the digital rendition of that reality, right? It's so realistic. And now, what that has provided us as an opportunity in metaverse is to create a virtual world, a parallel world that represents or mimics the way we live and interact and socialize in the real physical world.
yeah,
Okay, so I know it's still not very clear to a lot of people on how this ambiguous world will come about, but that's the beauty of it because it's constantly evolving. It builds on technology platforms that are currently available to us, but as technology evolves, so will Metaverse.
absolutely. And you know what? Interesting to talk about the gaming part of it on that. And then at certain level, the gaming was sort of limited to kids and things like that. But I think now the gaming world or the virtual world or digital world has become very active because I've got kids, and I see them, playing across cities, across continents, and
Right.
in an actual, I would say, a metaverse world, which is not a physical world, but it is a metaverse world, where they're talking to each other on that. And we are seeing that this digital world, is evolving a lot. So coming to real estate side of it, and before I get into metaverse real estate, do you remember there's a game called Monopoly?
Yes, yes, of course.
So that was a game when we were actually buying and selling real estate with paper money. I mean, at that point in time, Monopoly now has evolved, but at that point in time, there was no physical trade going on, or or I say, there was no virtual trade going on at that time. But then we were still playing on the board game, right?
Yes, and I think it's a brilliant example, a great example to conceptualize what metaverse is like. So it is a a board with very well defined boxes, or as they call it, parcels of land,
That's
and
right.
people who are participating, four, five, six, depending on the number of people who want to play, uh, they can all take part in it. Okay, and
Yeah.
there are, of course, Monopoly had more restrictive rules, but this one is more decentralized and independent. People make their own rules as they go along, and
Yeah.
and you can actually then same way own title to that place. You can buy Piccadilly, you can buy Mayfair, you can buy
That's
Park Lane,
right.
whichever Monopoly, and then of course each country had its own version, because we are
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
about the UK based
The
Monopoly,
UK one, exactly.
but then other countries had their own editions. But conceptually, yes. So the metaverse is like Decentraland. I mean, this is one of the popular ones
Yeah.
which has been created. It has a finite number of parcel lands. It's one of the more well-established metaverse platforms. And like you said, it has places where they have said, okay, this part of our metaverse platform has been owned by this celebrity, right?
Wow. Yes.
So that would be equivalent of monopolies, let's say Park Lane or Mayfair. Now,
That's true.
people will want to be closer to that celebrity's location because they feel that there will be virtual traffic who would want to go visit that person. And because when they will zoom into that traffic, we could be part of that rendition and be seen into that same space.
So very, very, very well defined. Now the question comes in. A lot of time this question comes in between finite and infinite, right? I mean,
Hmm.
digital world is infinite and digital world is infinite. So how does it work?
Okay, true. um, that we have a finite capacity in a way
Yeah.
on Earth, even though uh, human beings are very creative. We have managed to create land and sea and extended the borders by creating islands. And, because let's say people want to be near the shore or near the ocean and they want to get that experience, then we have managed to extend land into the sea and
Yeah.
created islands, and people can live there. So yes, while the world is finite, but human imagination is not finite.
True. True.
So now when we talk about acquiring land, and it's an oxymoron in a way, because in virtual world we call about virtual real estate, so it's
That's
not
right.
as real. So it's in a way hilarious if you think about it. But the idea is that we actually are able to identify a piece of space or land, just an IP address on a computer, right? it's a,
Yeah.
it's a defined address. So the same address can be identified on the metaverse platform as a unique address, a unique location in that space. And that space is what we call land. Now, the idea behind that is that human beings, as creative we can use that space to build something on it digitally. We can build a digital theater on it. We can build a digital shopping mall on it. We can create a digital. So while the world is infinite in a way in the virtual world,
Yeah.
but in the virtual world, we have created a platform which is a finite resource. And in that finite resource, we have allocated space, which is also finite, to someone to create something on it. And then the human imagination, human mind creates something which attracts other people to come and visit, whether they're going to go there to shop, that they're going to go to hang out and listen to music. uh, it just brings people into that space. Okay, now because that space that we have created is unique, that's what gives value to that. Okay,
Amazing.
now
Amazing.
then the question becomes, can digital things be replicated? Of course they can be
Yeah.
replicated, but here's the beauty of blockchain.
Yes.
Blockchain keeps record, a public
True.
decentralized record of
Yes.
the ownership. So if I have created something and it's now on blockchain, that it's my creation, someone else cannot copy it because I have the rights to that. And that's where the whole
True.
non-fungible tokens come in.
True.
That's the
True.
representation of unique ownership on a piece of creation.
Mm.
So we hear about NFTs for
Yeah.
art and NFTs of other things. So in a way, this whole world, the metaverse, is making things much more controllable than they are in the real physical world, because you cannot uh, implement controls for
True.
people who copy things, like they copy music. And
True.
we had, again, going back in time, Napsters and all of that. People would talk
Yeah.
about downloading and copying. Now with all this control, the artists, the creators, authors, they have digital rights, and then they can choose not only to have those digital rights uh, to generate value for themselves, but if someone wants to copy, they can copy with the original creator getting value for it.
True. True. True.
So,
Very well.
so to answer your question, yes, there is this theoretically infinite world, but in this infinite world, the creation is still by humans, and
Yeah.
that creativity limits its supply and demand, and that limitation of supply and demand creates value.
Very,
I hope
very,
I have
very
been
well
able to
done.
answer it in some way.
I think you defined it very, very, very well. Let me say that on that. For anybody, person like me also to understand like how this whole metaverse has been created and how it's been done on that. But then because the digital world is still new, and we've talked about crypto last time. But then the very good thing you mentioned right now was also one of the point was about the IP address or a specific domain, where people go and pay for that, which is again a digital world which has been created on that. Uh, but then the question comes in like, what is the profile of the people who are investing in this metaverse? And of course, also next thing will be uh, why Canadians are excited about it.
Well, yeah, that's very interesting. So most of the companies that are promoting, like Metaverse Group, um, I believe the other one is called tokens.com, etc.
Yeah,
There are many, these are all of Canadian origin, right? Uh, and again, honestly speaking, I don't have a very clear answer why Canadians have embraced it more so, but I would put it on a demographics. Um, Demographics in the sense that the younger generation, digital natives who are more comfortable with the gaming lifestyle, are able to interact in a way which is very different than the older generation. See, for older generation, again, let's talk about evolution of how things happen. Radio was the main source of entertainment for a lot of people. This is
true.
before movies came out. Then movies came out, they were silent, okay? They didn't have audio to go with it. Then, technology evolved. Then the movie started to get an audio. Black and white became color. Color became with Dolby sound. So we have constantly seen evolution of entertainment by improvement in technology. For the older generation, they're able to grasp that concept. Okay, we see the movies, but
Yeah.
movies are still 2D. They are not able to immerse or insert themselves in the movie. Now imagine the younger generation who has been more accustomed to this immersive experience wants to partake in an adventure by, let's say, James Bond.
Yeah.
So the future movie of James Bond is not a movie where we just sit and watch. The future movie of James Bond is we can be a character in that movie and take part in the action.
True.
I mean,
True.
it's hard for a lot of people to
Wow.
visualize,
Yeah.
but that's where the technology will allow us to be. So we don't have to watch the movie James Bond. The storyline will be the same. It's the video games. I mean, the
Yeah. Yeah.
storyline is the same, the
Sure.
plots are the
Sure.
same, etc. And the character is there, and the character is played, and the sound is heard of the same actor. But this time, the only difference is you're just not one of the people sitting in the theater watching them. You're participating in the whole experience with the movie, inside the
Amazing.
movie.
Amazing. Amazing.
Okay, that's where metaverse is taking us.
Lovely, lovely, very, 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 very nice. He said on that. Another thing which brings me a question to me. I was just reading on the news. I think it was came in Dubai. But Dubai said Dubai's metaverse plans to aim about at about 40,000 virtual jobs and boost the GDP by 4 billion.
Yes,
US dollars on that. So that's how big this metaverse world is. That it will be actually creating more virtual jobs for the people, which again I think is going to give a boost to the employment as well.
absolutely. So again, we're talking about traditional way of doing things and
Yeah.
the future. Okay, so j- just in terms of numbers, we talk about Hollywood, right? So everybody's Hollywood is big, but Hollywood is, I think, $100 billion industry
Yeah.
at this time. In comparison to gaming, which is a $350 billion industry,
True.
so it's three and a half times,
Huge. Huge. Huge.
right? Now, what's happening in the gaming industry? People are creating games, people are producing games, people are distributing games, people are competing in it,
Yeah.
um, and people are actually making money. So there are people in Africa, and I think there's a game, I forget the name, something Infinity, where I was
Okay.
reading that there are people from the Philippines, people from Africa. They play that game and they earn money as a part of
Okay.
the process. Okay. Now, the point what I'm trying to make is that all these people who are creating these games, who are marketing them, who are playing in those games, who are interacting, they're all part of this economy.
Yes.
This is the metaverse economy that's going to grow. And people will switch because talking about finite and infinite, we have finite time. So we can choose to spend the time we do. And people are switching off from television, people are switching on to streaming services. Now very quickly we have seen that streaming services have started to lose momentum.
True.
Okay, and people are switching into a newer experience. So when Mark Zuckerberg last year he announced the change of company name to Meta, right?
Yes. Yes.
And he says this is the future, this is the way we are going to go. Essentially what he is saying is that we will create a space for people to interact, because that's what he connects people, right? That's what
True.
Facebook
True.
is all about.
True.
But
True.
the experience will be a much more immersive experience, a much more connected experience for individuals, and forming communities and forming groups and how they come together, how they buy things, entertain themselves, how they educate themselves. So all of that will be possible through this immersive experience. And it's a lot of people say, hey, would we be walking around wearing these big ocular 3D virtual glasses? Well, yes, and maybe no. Maybe it will become more of a sort of a helmet, which is lightweight, right? And with a visor, it will come on. It doesn't have to be that kind of a. I mean, it's all up to our
Yeah,
imagination how
yeah,
we want to
that's
do
true.
it.
Yeah. So talking about the Oculus, very interestingly, because at end of December, when we were going to have our meeting or like IQI meeting, it was actually done through the Oculus, and we were into the meta world of doing things on that. I mean, the experience by itself, Haroon, was amazing. Literally, you could be there within your within your world and be connected to everybody. So I know there were people from Malaysia, from Philippines, from Vietnam, from Thailand, from Cambodia, from different countries. And I can tell you what, the experience was really, really amazing. I've got that Oculus still with me, and now, with this Oculus improving, with games like, boxing and doing exercising and things like that on that. But I can tell you what, that experience of connecting people, that is again something very, very unique in nature. Imagine, like, very soon they're talking about having those body suits and stuff like that, where you could actually, somebody touches you, start feeling the touch on that. I don't know how that would be, but it's coming there on that.
Well, see, that is exactly what we're talking about. You got a early stage experience of what it would feel like, and it
Yeah.
felt awesome, right?
Yes.
It
Yes.
felt awesome because here you were, multiple geography, locations, different people from different parts of the world, all together in one place.
Yes. Right.
Now, just visualize this, okay? Just this is imagination. Visualize this, that going forward you can all create very realistic avatars of how you look like. It doesn't matter which language you speak, because there will be a real-time translation done. So people could be speaking in Thai, Vietnamese, Arabic, whichever
Malay, yeah.
language you may, and you will get instant translation done. So language will no longer be an issue, because
Amazing.
that's what technology will allow us to do. We can pick a location. You can all choose to be in a chalet in Switzerland, for example. And it
True.
would feel very realistic that you're
That's
actually
true.
sitting there.
That's true. That's true.
Okay, the whole experience, the sounds, the the experience will, the world will be, it's called augmented reality, it will be created so that you can experience it. Now we sometimes feel, oh, what kind of clothes and things and all of that, but imagine all of these things can be then achieved with the help of nanotechnology, with clothes which are very light. They're like a normal jacket, only that they have these small things going through them that can generate those feelings for you. Maybe a feeling that you're in a cold weather, maybe feeling that you're in a
Yeah.
warm place.
That also.
So yeah, so the
Go ahead, go ahead.
future is all up to us.
So that's real. It's a very nice imagination you've created. So we're talking about that. I'm just giving a little bit of topic on that. The distances which are actually there. Okay, now we know the distances are being taken care by Zoom calls and going on to StreamYard and things like that. But I think at that point in time, the metaverse world by itself, which has been created in future, the way we look at it, that I think the distances are going to become pretty nominal, in the sense, like, when you are getting in touch in any part of the world, because as you rightly said, maybe you never know you are in Switzerland, and everybody comes into Switzerland and have that feeling on that. But I tell you what, this is something really, really amazing, which I experienced on it with our team. And the way the technology is going on, I think it's going to be something really, really amazing, which we will see in future as well.
Yeah, so building on our earlier point, so when you said, is this something that people should invest in, is this something,
Yes.
so now, so we're stepping back. So picking an example, and again, we don't want to market and promote any of the platforms. So
True.
people can Google and learn on it on the YouTube, but there are different platforms available. So let's say if it is a platform that allows all of us to have our own virtual uh, recreation center, IQI Recreation Center. So we pick
Okay.
one of the metaverse platforms, we buy land on it or space on it, and then we create our own recreation center. Now each that recreation center can has different kind of rooms, different kind of environments, different, so we can go into that space, log into that space, and and be there, right? We have a library there. Anybody who wants to read about something, they can click on an video library or audio library, or whatever material, they can get that whole experience there. They can choose the language in which they want to listen. People are talking in English, it automatically switches to German. The people are talking in Arabic, they can switch to whichever language. It's all happening interactively, and everybody who's there can actually see the avatars of everyone else who's
Yeah.
present. Okay, so now after initial awkwardness, I'm sure everybody would start feeling very comfortable with it. Now human beings have certain innate characteristics. We are social beings.
Yeah.
We are by nature social beings. So
True.
we that kind of social interconnection offered by metaverse will bring us back there. Okay, that feeling of being together with somebody, interactive, real time. Secondly, we are creative people. Human beings are creative. There will be new ways of interacting, new ways of evolving. Okay? So all of this, and we like familiarity. So even though it's virtual recreation center, virtual world, it will allow us to not go back and say, oh, this is something totally new this time. You'll say, no, no, I'm familiar with this, how it works, how we go. So this recreation place, we go right, there's a bowling center. We go left, there's a tennis place. Uh, this is where we sit at the near the fire camp or whatever, right? So everybody's interacting in virtual space, even though they have not physically left their respective homes, and spent 3 to 4 hours talking about the business and how they can work together and collaborate around that. And you can pull things in. So let's say there's a new project that I don't know, one of the developers is launching,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you want to invite everybody to see that developer can now come in and show in a 3D model in virtual reality what the future community would look like. It's
Amazing.
only up to us, only up to our imagination, and that's what the land is all about. Now yes, which platform will become popular, we don't know yet, but
Yeah.
people are speculating on it just the way they were speculating on cryptocurrencies. There are now practically hundreds of cryptocurrencies. Which one will succeed, which one will not succeed? Okay, it's a toss up, but
True.
people are doing this. People who are a bit older may not realize, but there was a time where people used to just buy up domain names as
Yes.
squatters because they were
Absolutely.
expecting that the value would go up.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Okay, so this is not very different from that. A lot of people are going in metaverse platforms and acquiring space, acquiring land with this anticipation that it will give them multiple returns. It may happen, it may not happen. It is speculative in nature right now, but the concept is going to remain. Is metaverse is going to be? Yes, I do think metaverse is going to be the way forward, because that's what there were video games. I don't know if you remember Sims. Sims used to be a simulation
Yes.
video game.
Yes.
One, two, three,
Yes.
four.
Yes. Yes.
Second Life. These are all 20 years
Yeah.
ago things.
Yeah.
Second Life, then Minecraft.
Yes.
So what are these? These are all collaborative ways of creating virtual cities, virtual places, and metaverse is basically building on same concept, bringing people together, getting things going, places we can spend time to watch movies, watch music shows, and every time we, let's say, again giving an example, so there's a physical show that is happening somewhere, let's say in Houston. I'm just picking
Hmm.
a random
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
and you're sitting in Toronto, and you want to have the same experience in the music show. They will sell you metaverse tickets of the same show,
Lovely.
right? So yes, you physically will not fly there, but the production team of that show will allow you to feel and then experience the same show as if you were physically there through a virtual technology. And you will pay for it.
Yes.
And that event, which is happening physically, will also be hosted in this metaverse platform.
Matter was.
I hope I'm able to draw some visual,
It's,
imaginative ways of how this thing will happen.
it's so very well defined and created. What you've just now said is that you actually started making me feel that I'm already going to a could do go to a concert already on that. But
Well,
what
because,
else?
yeah, go ahead.
Good, please.
No, I'm going to say, but it's all up to our imagination.
Yes, yes,
We want to go to a Beatles concert, and the world can recreate a Beatles concert
yes.
now thanks to technology.
True,
We
true.
can bring these singers back to life, play their songs, create a digitally uh, virtual concert where people are there listening to music, sounds, screaming. That's what the concert makes it. I mean, we can listen to music,
Yeah.
but the experience we get in a concert is where people are screaming and shouting. There's this naturalness about how the performers are singing the songs. That whole thing live can be brought back thanks to this technology.
Lovely. You know what? I mean, as you said, we are very creative as human beings, and the way you've defined it, it's something really, really. I also believe the same thing that metaverse is something in future we don't know, as we said, promoting platforms on that, but that will be something to go for way forward. With the way the metaverse has been created, coming back to the real estate part of it as well, we will be seeing those pieces of virtual lands, going on buying and selling, and people looking at it in terms of, going up in terms of the values as well on that. Haroon, very interesting topic. Thank you so much. Really always a pleasure talking to you. And, every time we come up with a topic which is very, very interesting. So thank you so much for that. Anything you want to add before we say bye to our audience?
Well, thanks again, Yusuf, for inviting me and hosting me on your show. We have just started to scratch on the surface of what possibilities exist out there. I'm very excited about what the future is and how it unfolds, how our physical and virtual worlds will start to blend in, and we'll keep bringing up some more exciting topics.
Great, thank you so much. So if you guys have any questions, comments, anything you want us to talk about it, please do put in the comment box. We were live with Mr. Haroon Anwar, talking about the metaverse and the real estate metaverse. Till next time, take care of yourself. Thank you very much and stay safe. Bye bye.
Bye bye.